Call the meeting to order. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the meetings held November 26th and December 5th, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. No one wishing to address the board. Okay. May I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. And good news report. Well, I suppose the good news is the Deanne's back.
Well, good evening. Happy to be back among you. The Sioux Falls School District, as you know, is committed to engaging all of our stakeholders in public education. And earlier today, this very room, there was good evidence of that engagement that was going on. We were delighted to host more than 70 community members over the age of 60 for our Gold Card event. The annual holiday December Gold Card event is always our largest each year, and this is the largest attendance that I recall in my 13 years in the district, with 70 community members here asking questions and being engaged, finding out what's happening in their public schools. So community relations, community education, child nutrition, our custodial staff, everybody gets on board to put an event like this together. Child nutrition, of course, provided a hearty meal of turkey and all the fixings. The staff and students from two of our high schools, Lincoln High School, their chamber choir, along with their Cliff Avenue Singers group, came and provided music today, in addition to the small group called Encore from New Technology High School. And what a delight to have those students among our 60-plus population. It was great to have them here, and the community was very appreciative and in awe over their musical talents. So this is a great time of the year to remind people about our Gold Card event and all of the perks that go along with the Gold Card. The application is, boy, very difficult. Name, address, city, phone. And if you're over the age of 60, we will produce a Gold Card for you like this. You show your Gold Card at athletics and fine arts activities, and the entry fee anytime there is a charge is $1 for any activity. They don't have to pay the adult fee. It's just $1 with that card. In addition to that, the Gold Card holders are invited to 3 special events. Our April event this year, unfortunately, had to be canceled due to the snow, because we had 2 April snowstorms. Then we had a November event at, they attended the Epic Build at Lowell Elementary, and were just enamored by the activities and the engagement of the students, showing them their computer science immersion skills. And then the holiday event is one we do as well. In addition to that, they're on our mailing list for our catalog and get some perks, including some door prizes, which are gift certificates to attend community education classes at a reduced price. So again, if you know a friend or neighbor over the age of 60, simply have them fill out a card application like this. We provide a card. Something great this time of year, if you're sending a Christmas card to friends or family, you wanted to include an application like this so that people can show up and get their card and discount at our activities. We certainly welcome our community to come and see the excellence that we have among our students, both in athletics and in fine arts and other performances as well. So you won't be disappointed, and this is free. The activity is $1, so at a low cost. We want to continue to invite our community to be part of the public schools and allow them to see what we're doing in the buildings and in the classrooms on a daily basis.
Does that card expire? Do they have to enroll every year?
Nope,
Once you're in, you're in?
nope, you have this, and if it goes through the wash, we'll give you another one.
Okay.
Applications here.
Yeah, applications down here at the front desk of Instructional Planning Center, 201 East 38th Street. Again, you don't have to bring your passport or your social security card or anything like that. If you come in and ask for one, and if you're over the age of 60 years old, we'll provide you with the card. And the only thing we use this for is to continue to invite you to our special events and activities. And those folks are very happy to be part of the school district and feel like they get special attention. Today we had Dr. Nold and Dr. Boyson who shared some highlights going on in the district, and of course they wanted to know all about what was happening with the new high school and the new middle school, and so very important relationship that we establish with those who are in our community and have been lifelong taxpayers. And we even have some folks who've moved to Sioux Falls from other places and have just enjoyed either being a teacher in another community, or they retired here to be closer to their kids, and they really enjoy the ability to go to those activities at a reduced cost as well.
Very good.
Thank you.
No conflicts of interest, and move on. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Supplemental consent agenda 9A, claims to Sanford. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries with 2 abstentions, Board Member Mickelson and Board Member Ryder. And we are on to the reports of the superintendent, Dr. Maher.
Okay, we have 3 reports tonight to bring in front of the board. The first one is the English Language Arts Curriculum Update from Curriculum Services. Here's Ann Smith.
Good evening. Instructional staff have completed the first year of implementing the K-12 English Language Arts curriculum that was approved for purchase in March of 2017. The new curriculum is aligned with the South Dakota State Standards for English Language Arts. Those standards address reading, writing, speaking, and listening skills. The English Language Arts curriculum also continues the focus on reading proficiency that began with the K-12 Continuum for Struggling Readers. That continuum was first presented in March of 2013. Really, the English Language Arts curriculum provides the foundation for all of the areas of study of our educational career of our students. At the elementary level, the curriculum materials that were chosen were from the company Collaborative Classroom. With this particular curriculum adoption, there was an increased emphasis on foundational reading skills. We wanted to be sure that our teachers had ample professional development to feel confident implementing the new materials. There was a full day of training on August 29th, and then throughout the year last year, there were 6 days of training. Those happened at 3 times throughout the year, so that there were 2-day sessions, with the first day being a demonstration, followed by 1 day of discussion over what people had seen in the demonstration lesson. Then there was a full day. There were a couple of optional opportunities for teachers to attend if they chose to. In June of 2017, there was an event, and then we worked with Augustana College to provide a 2-day workshop that teachers could attend for further training. The language arts curriculum, this is our English language arts adoption, but with our Spanish immersion program, the Spanish language arts is English language arts, but it's the language arts in the language that they're learning, which is Spanish. The teachers did choose to use the same curriculum, Collaborative Classroom, but since that collaborative classroom was developed for English, there were some things that didn't quite fit. And so those materials were trans-adapted. So trans-adapted means not just translated word for word, they were actually adapted, looking at what is the concept that's being taught through this. Is there a different book that we would need to use in Spanish? What might that book be? We actually worked directly with Veronica Vasquez, who is the professional learning lead from Collaborative Classroom, to do that trans-adaptation. In addition, the being a writer portion of Collaborative Classroom needed to be trans-adapted, and we were fortunate enough to be able to collaborate with teachers from Omaha. Omaha also uses the Collaborative Classroom curriculum in their Spanish immersion program. As our teachers worked on implementing the elementary curriculum, there was still a need to continue addressing those early readers who are struggling to master the foundational skills. There is a program called Systematic Instruction in Phoneme Awareness, Phonics, and Sight Words, SIPS, and Dr. Boyson gave you a report on that earlier this year. But that particular program is one that we are implementing in 4 of the Title I schools to address those gaps in reading foundational skills. That's supported by the district literacy teacher on special assignment. We'll be monitoring to see how those students do, to see if that's a program that we should expand or continue, or if we need to keep looking in some other direction to see if we can get better results some other way. For our students with special needs in the elementary CEIS, Coordinated Early Intervening Services and Structured Teach programs, the Fountas and Pinnell Leveled Literacy Intervention curriculum was adopted, and during our district in-service days on August 29th and March 29th, there was training provided by Fountas and Pinnell for those programs. The RISE teachers, working with our students with more significant cognitive disabilities, had training with National Geographic. The program that was chosen for those students was Reach for Reading. And then there was the first author writing curriculum from Don Johnston, which they also had some additional training on March 29th for that. At the middle school level, as the teachers worked through the curriculum and the guides that had been developed, it became clear that they felt that they needed more guidance in terms of how do we make the choices of what we're going to use, what selections we're going to use from our materials. There's ample material here, but how do we make sure that we're choosing what's the right things to choose to make sure that we've gotten the essential content to our students? So at the middle school level, we focused professional development on revising those curriculum pacing guides to make sure that there was a little more direction to help them guide them through those choices. And in conjunction with that, to help ensure that we're confident that all teachers know which is the essential content for students to master at that level, we developed an assessment plan. The assessments for this plan include performance tasks that will be delivered quarterly or perhaps more often, but there'll be common performance tasks that teachers are doing. And then also, this is the first year that the NWEA map will be taken by all of our students in grades 6 through 8. So those MAP scores will help us ensure that we truly have identified the essential content and it's being delivered systematically throughout the curriculum, throughout the district. For the reading interventions at the middle school level, we use System 44 and Read 180. We have had ongoing training for the teachers who teach those programs so that we're sure that we continue to implement that program with fidelity. Another reading intervention at middle school that we continue to deliver is Lit Zone, which has been in place for several years. Our reading interventions that we have at the middle school level appear, or perhaps we could believe that our reading interventions are helping. This particular graph shows the Smarter Balance ELA proficiency rates on the 2018 Smarter Balance. Looking at here all the way on the left side is your 3rd grade, and then 4th grade, then 5th grade. So you see that by 6th grade, we've narrowed that gap between the Sioux Falls School District and the state. average. And then by 7th grade, the Sioux Falls School District actually exceeds the average of the state. And then the trend line continues on, so that while we're about even with 11th grade, our trend line is showing that our students' English language arts proficiency is increasing at a steeper line than the state's proficiency in English language arts. That's something we want to be sure that we continue, but we are also very much aware that at the middle school level, with our reading interventions, the way they're structured, students end up giving up some other content in order to be in those reading interventions. So one of the ongoing conversations is, are we confident that the students are in the interventions that they need? We want them to have the interventions they need, but not more intervention that they need. For our students with special needs at the middle school level, the teachers expressed satisfaction with the Resource and Rise curriculum that was chosen, which is from National Geographic. They believe that the curriculum offers them sufficient flexibility to truly differentiate for the needs of their students. At the high school level, teachers chose to maintain the same print textbook that we had in the earlier English language arts curriculum adoption, and instead we purchased access to the new online materials. That online access began for the teachers in June of 2017, so that they could work with that throughout the summer in preparation for when they implemented the curriculum in the fall. As we worked through the English language arts adoption, we've also had some changes from the state regarding graduation requirements. We've been monitoring those changes. One of the changes that was made in the curriculum study was to rename two courses, Advanced Composition and Contemporary Literature. That ended up working out well because that truly does align those courses well for the endorsements that are part of the new graduation requirements. We are also going to be combining American literature and composition into one course instead of, it has been a semester of American literature and a semester of composition. We've had a pilot at Roosevelt High School where they're teaching it together so that students are doing their compositions as reactions to what they're reading. That has worked out well. We're pleased with the results, and the other buildings would like to implement that in their schools as well. And we have confirmed with the state that that will still work with the graduation requirements, that they'll count that for the American literature requirement. At the high school level, for our reading interventions, we replaced the FAME curriculum that we had been using for several years with an online program from Pearson called ILET. Pearson came and provided a day-long training for teachers in August of 2017 and 2018. And with this language arts adoption, we also saw our Spanish immersion students entering high school, and we had developed a new course for them, 9th grade Spanish language and culture. As the teacher worked through that in the first year, she felt that the students she was still seeing gaps in the students' writing and speaking, particularly when it comes to working with formal academic language. So we did end up purchasing an additional text for that 9th grade Spanish immersion class to be sure that students have ample opportunities to build vocabulary and demonstrate their understanding through speaking and writing. For our students with special needs, again, looking at the new graduation requirements that come along, we spent this last spring reviewing and updating the curriculum pacing guides to be sure that our courses align with those new graduation requirements. The fall and spring semester tests have been reviewed and revised to focus on scaffolding questions so that we know that we're moving from basic recall and comprehension into higher order thinking and reasoning. So we've completed a full year of implementation. We're going into the second year of implementation, and we continue to monitor to be sure that we're providing the professional development that our teachers need, that we're revising activities as they need to be revised, and developing whatever district-wide assessments might be necessary to help enable us to monitor the curriculum. We will be launching a minor English language arts review in the fall of 2019, just to come back along. Again, the English language arts curriculum is the backbone, is the foundation for all learning, so we want to be sure that we continue to keep it tight and effective. with that, I would ask the board to acknowledge the English Language Arts Curriculum Implementation Update.
Questions?
Thank you, Anne. First of all, I was happy to see the results of the elementary and high school surveys, that the implementation seemed to go pretty smoothly. I was concerned about the middle school, and I had emailed you on that. And when I was looking through it, at first I thought, well, the questions geared to elementary were more based on the materials versus the students, of how they reacted to the materials. So I thought, well, that makes a difference in how the results are. But then when I compared it to the high school, those were still student-focused questions as well. So I did reach out to some middle school ELA teachers, because I just was, thinking what they thought. I had a middle schooler last year and so forth. And I'm wondering, instead of waiting into the fall of 2018, if we should have been maybe asking some of the questions earlier during the years, since there was such a drop off for those middle school teachers as to knowing. And some of that, like the mentor text, was actually there, but it was in the resources, but some of those teachers maybe didn't get to there, know that. And so it sounds like some of the professional development maybe just wasn't where it needed to be for them and so forth. So to keep us up to date and the IPC up to date on what's going on, maybe when we're implementing something like that, is that something we could do, like do it earlier, questioning those teachers, so that it's not 12 months later and we're now trying to catch up for that year that was lost and so forth?
Certainly. I mean, certainly we can continue to do that. I think we will always do our best to make sure that we're getting the information from the teachers in a timely fashion. Yes.
And I'm not.
Yeah.
No, I think your point's really well taken.
Yeah.
And I think, too, that we think through, there was the one formal way of bringing that in, but anecdotally we were getting information as the year went on, and maybe we need to formalize that in a way that doesn't wait 1 year after the fact. I think it's good information and something for us to ponder, or maybe we formalize the anecdotal information that we're getting. I think it's a reasonable request for us.
Mm-hmm.
So in addition to like the actual survey, which I'm assuming they be sent them whatever 10 questions and they answered, was there an option for them to give feedback?
Yes. So the teachers are, the committee actually continues to meet. Then also there is a director called meeting for all of the English language arts teachers, which happens 2 or 3 times during the year. And during those meetings, there's opportunity to give feedback and check in and see how things go.
Sure. I think sometimes you might look at something, you're like, well, I wonder what they mean.
Yeah.
So just being
Right.
able to have somebody give more, like you said, anecdotal, this example, for example, for something specific that they could say, this really worked for me and this didn't. And then maybe you have 2 teachers who are saying the opposite thing. Well, can they come together and find out how they could both make it work, just using it in a different way or using a tool in a different way. So
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that there's still those meetings that are happening for
Yes.
them to have those
Yep.
conversations.
Yes. Yep. And that's also one of the focus of collaboration that happens weekly during English Language Arts Department meetings, although those would be specific to one building, but at least with the director called meeting, you've got all 5 schools coming together.
Other questions? Thank you, Ann. May I have a motion to acknowledge the report, please?
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, that motion carries.
Well, our second report is also going to come to you from Ms. Smith. And during her last report, she talked a little bit about future planning and professional development, and that is a nice segue right into this next report, which is on our school improvement plans, also coming to us from the Curriculum Services Department.
Each school is required to maintain a school improvement plan as part of accreditation through the South Dakota Department of Education. In addition, our Title I schools must have a school improvement plan so that they are in compliance with the federal Every Student Succeeds Act. But I think more importantly, what drives these school improvement plans is the district strategic plan. Each school's improvement plan is focused on the district's mission and priority statements. And as we work to make sure that we're doing everything we can, every teacher, every administrator, those school improvement plans really keep driving those efforts. The plans are developed in a somewhat circular process. There's a building leadership team that consists of administrators and teachers There's representative parent input. Those leadership teams collect and organize data, analyze data, prioritize needs, and create a plan to address those prioritized needs. Then, they collect and organize data to monitor progress towards addressing the prioritized needs, analyze the data, prioritize needs, and revise the plan, at which point we collect data to monitor the revisions, and so we continue, just always looking at how do we make sure that we are continuously improving. Annually, though, we bring them to you for approval. Typically, we have been doing that in December at this meeting. We will be moving to a slightly different timeline now. The state has changed their timeline with their new accountability plan under the Every Student Succeeds Act. So in subsequent years, we'll be bringing the plans forward in May instead of in December. You've had a chance to review the plans that have been developed by the individual schools. Those plans will also be posted on the district website, linked from each school's page on the district website. At this time, I would ask you to approve the individual school improvement plans.
Any questions for Ann? May I have a motion to approve the school improvement plans?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Can you just remind me, I feel like you said there's a team at each school, and then is there, as from an accountability perspective, just to make sure that those activities are being implemented, or to even look at a school and say, this worked really well here, maybe that would work really well at another school who has the same types of, you know, scenarios going on? Who kind of follows up with the schools in that area?
So the Curriculum Services Department and Special Services Department meet jointly once a month, and we invite principals to come to that meeting. This year we'll start that process in January, and at that meeting that's exactly what we talk about, is how are things going, what's working well. Because you're bringing in principals from different buildings, there's a lot of wonderful cross-pollinization that happens there of sharing information. In addition to that, we might have a data retreat where we bring all elementary schools together, all middle schools together, all high schools together. So we provide opportunities for them to share what's working. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? One of the things is I read these, and I've been doing this a long time, and when we put the strategic plan into place a couple of years ago, we've always been a school district that's been run on strategies and goals. But after we implemented our strategic plan, and I read over each one of the schools' improvement plans, everything is so strictly tied to the strategic plan in what I believe is a more organized, better way for our schools to know exactly what the expectations are, and then they can put their plans to work. So I'm pleased to see how well the entire district is using the strategic plan that you all helped put together with the board's approval and work from the administration. So it's good to see. Thank you. Any other comments or discussion? If not, we have a motion and second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next report.
Our third report from the Office of the Superintendent is going to come from the Superintendent. So, first of all, thanks for your comments, President Alberti. Those are very much appreciated and make me feel pretty good. For this report, this is a report prepared by the School District Bond Steering Committee, and it is specific to the Southeast Middle School site selection. As you know very well, on September 18th of this past year, the voters of the Sioux Falls School District approved a $190 million bond referendum, in part to construct a new high school and a new middle school. The charge from the Community Facilities Task Force regarding the new middle school was that the new middle school should be constructed on the school district's southeast side, and the school should be built as soon as possible and opened up in 2021 if possible, and if not 2021, then 2022. I assigned a steering committee consisting of district personnel, 2 board members, with the purpose of guiding the district through the overall management of the projects included in that $190 million bond referendum. Due to the limited sites available in the southeast quadrant of our school district, the committee considered 2 viable sites in the southeast quadrant where we had to have at least 25 acres, or our goal was to have at least 25 acres of land for our consideration. The committee worked with the city planning office to vet possible sites and also to reach out to landowners to gauge interest of those owners for potential sale. The committee then entered into extensive negotiations with the most responsive ownership group, that being the Burns property located at just north of 41st Street, east of Highway 11, and immediately west of Faith Avenue. The parties eventually arrived at a price of $2,251,922 for approximately 23.18 acres. That comes out to $2.23 per square foot. Additional items in the agreement include an option to purchase an additional 2 acres to the north if the district determines it needs that property, and we'll work with the church to the east on its half of the road expense. In modifying our original budget to this site to account for fewer feet of roads needing to be constructed, the district has $2,093,337 available for the land purchase. If necessary, the additional $158,000 can be made up by accessing the Capital Outlay Fund land bank, which currently has a balance of $600,000. That's a lot of stuff there. Basically, what we're saying is this is the land that's available to us. We negotiated the best price for that land that we could. Land in the southeast quadrant of the community appears to be plentiful if you drive around, but not so plentiful if you're really actively searching to buy. The price that we negotiated is the best price that we can find. We think when everything is all said and done, this fits within the parameter of our budget. We might have to move a few things around to get it to fit perfectly in that budget. That's kind of what's unsaid in this report. I'll stand by for any questions. Our administrative recommendation to the school board is that you authorize the president and business manager to enter into a contract with the Burns family for those 23.18 acres for a purchase price of $2.23 per square foot, a total of $2,251,922, and authorizing the business manager to issue a manual check to complete the property transaction, with the understanding that the manual check will be reported in the manual check report at a subsequent school board meeting. Now I'll stand by for any questions.
Questions?
I don't have any questions, but I think we heard very loud and clear from our task force that that southeast side of town was really where that building needed to be. And as you have said to many audiences in many different places, you know, we look at where our middle schools are across town, and we don't have anything on that east side of town. And we have a lot of families, and we have a lot of land that's going to be developed, which will have more families. And so I think it's a great place. I know I was doing some reading online in the comments section of different places, and people are still confused about how does this help Memorial. And so I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, just to help people understand that piece of it.
Sure. Good question. Well, there are really kind of 2 pieces, I think, to the information you just put out there. Piece number 1 is through that task force data gathering sessions that we had, and really leaning on the city to say, where are we going to develop the greatest in the school district? The 2 primary areas as a school district were the northwest quadrant of the community and the southeast quadrant of the community. So that was number 1. Number 2, when we look at our 5 middle schools, we really need relief from an enrollment standpoint in 4 of the 5 middle schools, the most pronounced being Memorial Middle School. I think the easiest way to answer your question is to say that as a school district, we'll have to have a boundary conversation and ultimately boundary implementation that shifts our middle school population from west to east. The other thing that I would remind our taxpayers is that Memorial isn't the only middle school that's overburdened with enrollment. It's the most pronounced, but it's not the only. Whittier is also over capacity, Edison is also over capacity, and Patrick is over capacity. So as we build a new facility, we'll have to shift that middle school population from west to east so that it does positively impact Memorial as well as Whittier and Edison and Patrick. And we'll do that by having that new 6th middle school in the eastern third of our school district and in the southeast quadrant. You know, sometimes you ask me what time it is and I tell you how the clock works. I'm afraid I just did that, but that's the long-winded answer.
I just want to commend the school district and the real estate team for working hard, because they're not making more property on that southeast side, and obviously it's a lot more valuable right there than it is on our northwest quadrant. And so they approached a lot of people who weren't interested. We looked at other options. I know, like, could we expand at Rosa Parks and make that a middle school and things like that. And, I mean, lots of outside the box conversations. So thank you for the work on getting this. I appreciate all that.
Thank you.
I think the only other thing I would say is that the other confusion that seemed to be from people is, where does Brandon start and end, and where does Sioux Falls start and end? And so I would encourage people with those questions to go to the Sioux Falls School District, and if you just Google in the search, you can type in boundary, and you can look at any of the boundaries, and you can look, it is a weird kind of zigzaggy area over there. And so I know Brandon has talked about an elementary school not very far from there, so people were kind of questioning that, and that's their school district, and we are within our school district. And so I think there's no reason why you can't have 2 buildings close to each other. But I think that is an odd part of town, and so I would encourage people to go look at that and see kind of where that fits in, because I had to do that myself just to see what does that look like in that neighborhood.
You know, you bring up a good point too, and you think of that area, and we are very much up against our eastern boundary there. And when you think about that area of our community, there's no doubt in my mind that we would fill up that middle school. I'm fairly certain too that Brandon will have some building plans near that. I'm also certain whatever they build, they'll fill up as well. So I think from a Lincoln and Minnehaha County larger point of view, I think all of the buildings that will be constructed in that area, whether they are constructed by the Sioux Falls School District or the Brandon Valley School District or whoever, depending upon if you go south of there, my guess is each one of those buildings will be needed.
Also, just as the discussion, Cynthia alluded to it a bit, when we started talking about the high school up in that northwest area, we had 7 landowners that came forward to offer land to be sold to the school district as that plan began to unfold and the bond election had been completed. That didn't happen in that southeast quadrant, and we had to go out and look for landowners that would be willing to sell land to us. So you know, a little different circumstance that we had to look at as we were buying the 23 acres, the 23.18 acres that we bought. So yes, very good work, hard work went into getting this lined up. And also part of this is to help us stay on our timeline. The overcrowding isn't going to get better in the next 2 years, and to be able to hit the target of that fall of 2021 to open both the middle school and the high school, we had to get the land purchased so that the architectural firm could begin to do their work on, you know, how do we build a school on the piece of land that we have. So thank you.
You're welcome. Maybe as I close, just you threw some accolades back at me on behalf of the district. Maybe 2 people I should really point out. Todd Beek and Jeff Kreider really were front and center in making this happen on behalf of the district.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, for the extra work that you are putting in to get the plan all into place. So appreciate that. All right. Any other questions or discussion? If not, we have a motion on the floor. Need the motion, which, thank you. Keep me on track. Okay, Dr. Maher read the recommendation, and we need we need a motion to approve that. And somebody made it, seconded, we're good. Discussion? We're done with that? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you for leading me along. Policy.
Yes, we have several policies up for review or revise tonight. Just a reminder that we have a policy committee that meets just about monthly, and we go through a cycle of reviewing our policies. Usually it's a 5-year cycle. So it may seem that several of these are construction and site related, but they fell in the normal timeline of when we would review them, but it also gave us an opportunity to update languages on some lessons learned over the last 4-month process that we've been going through in terms of finding sites and construction plans, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to go ahead and read through the titles that are up for review revise. So we have Policy FA, Facilities Development Goals, Priority Objectives, no changes. FAA, Evaluation of Facilities Planning and Development, we updated language to current practice. FEA, Education Specification for Construction, just minor word choice changes. FEB, Architect, Engineer, Construction Manager, update to current practice. FED, Construction Plans and Specifications, minor word choice changes. FEE, Site Acquisition, we improved upon current practices based on going through recent processes. FEF, Construction Cost Estimates, inclusion of Construction Manager consistent with other policies. FEG and its accompanying regulation, Construction Contracts, Bidding and Awards, minor word choice changes. FEH and its accompanying regulation, Supervision of Construction, no changes. FEJ, Construction Records and Reports, no changes. And IHD, Adult Community Education, no changes. So with that, I would move to approve the review revision of the above said policies and accompanying regulations.
Second.
Is there a discussion?
Pretty straightforward.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Any additional business to come before the board? If not, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We are adjourned.